Hello everybody and welcome to what is actually a historical moment for Angry Welshman Productions. Right now, well, we're at we're at Blaenberris station with 4253, a 4200 class of the Great Western Railway. Quite a lot of stuff I need to explain during this video, so I'm gonna start off by saying this is the first video to be made at Angry Welshman Productions using the Spitfire laptop, which if those members of you who have been involved in the Angry Welshman Productions Facebook group have seen, the Spitfire and, the last few months the last month where I've been buying it and freaking out about it. All shall be explained in this video. So this is the first video being made using it. The next thing to say is that whilst the video is playing a fictional location in South Wales in the United Kingdom, it is actually being filmed in Incheon in South Korea, in Asia. The ship I'm currently working on, the motor vessel or cruise ship Amsterdam, pride of Holland America's fleet, is sat alongside a very shitty cargo port in Incheon in South Korea. About 5 miles or so south of the North Korean border, where apparently, according to a message we received earlier in the week, North Korea have been firing nuclear ballistic missiles. Whether they are nuclear or not, we're not sure, but we do know they're certainly, testing for nuclear capability. So what a fantastic place to be in at the moment. So but yeah, we're perfectly safe. I'm on a Dutch ship sailing with about 2,000 Americans on board, so I don't think it's going to be much safer than this right now. Because we are on a ship, my microphone is very sensitive. Just rubbing my hands over it now, you can hear it. That's how sensitive it is. It will pick up the air conditioning inside the cabin, because that is a constant throughout the entire ship. And it will also pick up any announcements or alarms that may be sounded on the ship's PA system. So, and I tried making a video earlier because I've spent the last couple of days trying to fine-tune the audio settings for this video, or to start making videos, that is. This is the first one, of course. I'm just messing around, but we are going to go for a cab ride along the length of the Pennine Valley Railway. At the moment we're at Blaenberris. There is nobody, not a living soul around, so it tells me it's not a very a revenue-making train today. No matter. Oh no, there's people. I saw a person just now. No. Deserted platforms. Oh look, purple lamps. I might have to change them for Great Western ones. Yeah, where was I? So, we're going to take a run along the entire length of the Pennine Valley Railway using 4253. What's the time now? In-game time is 10:58, so I had actually better get the train ready to depart. So if I put the handbrake on, and then we will open the ejector to suck that vacuum off. Misses. Something like that. I'm going to try not to use the F5 option today, but I have a feeling I probably will. Look at that lovely fire. So let's get shoveling some coal. And it's 1 minute to go until departure. David Seward did actually make me a timetable for services along the Pennine Valley Railway, but unfortunately I was stupid and I forgot to download it to come on board with. So Dave, I am really sorry that you went to all that effort to do that for me and I didn't bring it. I'm so sorry if you're watching. Yeah, that needs to be... So what I'm trying to do is set the road for the voyage, or the route to Pennine Junction. So let's just do a quick double check, because this is a complicated junction. Yeah, and the road is set. So while we're just waiting for the road, Oh look, the passengers have turned up. Perhaps you better get on. And pressing the T key, nothing happens. So there's a problem with this platform. So passengers have turned up for the train, but they can't get on. Oh well, we're blowing off anyway. And oh, it's 11 o'clock. I think we better make a move. So right away, driver. Yeah, that's how cool that is. You press the tab key, and it gives you that beautiful sounding thing. So handbrake off. Let's go. Oh yes. We can also stop shoveling, I think, because she's blowing off nicely. We've got plenty of steam in the boiler. Heading out of Blaenberris, the speed limit is 15 miles per hour for the preserved railway operations. The preserved railway with nobody on the train. So we're doing well so far. I need to make some more modifications to this route. For those of you who want to know what the route is, it is the Eswaith branch, which was made by a gentleman called Robert McGregor, who is a member of Angry Welshman Productions, as I found out recently. So, Rob, a little bit awkward, but I know I didn't ask you for your permission to use this route in Over the Hills, but I kind of just did. It is a stunningly beautiful route, and can I just add as well, I've never once claimed ownership of the route. I've never once made it out that this is my route or that I made it in any way. I think it's just stunning. The fact that I've used it for Over the Hills is kind of a coincidence, but you know what? I am glad I did. I really am. Oh crap, I'm going too fast. I said it was 15 miles an hour, just kind of, well, I've ruined the video. We've started like, 5 minutes and I've ruined it. So once the coaches are off the junction, and that's why it's 15 miles an hour, it probably will actually be 10. So coaches are all off the slips now, so we'll open that reg, we'll notch her back a bit and accelerate up to 25 miles per hour. Now we leave the South Wales main line. This is a fictional location, of course, so this is the South Wales main line running between Cardiff. Oh look, there's the gentleman from episode 2 of Over the Hills. Hi! Token exchange. That's why he's standing in the forefoot on a busy main line with trains running every few minutes. Shut that reg because it's we're already going too fast. There we go, 25 miles an hour. And if I remember right, because I did a bit of a run earlier, going down this hill you do accelerate quite a bit. So we're, yeah, you know what, we're going to be going too fast. But it's okay, we did leave 30 seconds late. And we're blowing off. So let's whack that injector on. Get some water in the boiler. So, heading down the slip. I don't think I've ever actually done a full-length run of the Pennoeth Valley Railway and succeeded, because I usually get to Blaenberris and smash into the buffers or run around a train and derail or something crazy of that nature. So it would be nice today for the first run on the Spitfire if I can actually make it to Llandeerdog, run round the train and return. There's actually a 20 miles an hour speed limit here, so let's apply those brakes. Open the ejector. Brakes off, because we're going to... Oh, blower on. Make sure we don't end up with a blowback in the tunnel, because we all know how much I hate those. So open that reg. Powering our way through the tunnel, passing underneath the South Wales main line. I don't know why I've got a yellow light here. There shouldn't be. I should have the road into Pennoeth Junction. So it's 20 miles an hour. Oh! Right, injector off. I'm trying to be fireman and driver at the same time, and I'm not very good at, multitasking. So, approaching Pennoeth Junction. Why it's called a junction is the last station before you can either go left or right. But because it's a preserved railway, it doesn't really make that much difference anymore. We're not still shoveling, are we? No. We got a bloody huge fire. 1,000 pounds. It's no wonder we're blowing off. Let's shut the dampers as well. Shut the dampers! Tom will be really happy. I said shut the dampers and I'm on a ship. Brakes on, brakes off. Brakes on. Brakes off. Brakes on. Brakes off. Don't. And I've stopped too early. The brakes on this 4200 class are very, very effective. Brakes on, quick. Oh my god, I'm going to overshoot. And I overshot. You're not supposed to block the crossing, idiota. Okay, welcome to Pennoeth Junction, where our train is still too long to sit in the platform. But I did actually stop in reasonably the right place. One of the agreements is that the crossing gates will be shut when the train arrives at the station, but the train should not foul the crossing gates so that traffic is stopped. Which it is doing right now, which is a little bit silly, but okay. Right, doors are being shut. Gates? What am I on about? I'm going crazy tonight. Let's whack that handbrake on. I don't know how effective. Normally handbrakes in train sim don't tend to work, so let's see what happens. Open the cylinder cocks. I said cock. Child. So that is ejector shut and in the running position. We're just waiting for the road, which my imaginary guard. Right away. Okay, he's ready. Let's go. A little bit of steam, shut it off. Little bit more steam, shut it off. Because I'm doing this properly. Little bit of steam, shut it off. And we're accelerating. I didn't check the road. Stupid Reese. But it's set for us anyway. There's not much. Well, I stopped. Okay. And we're spinning. I was supposed to be telling you guys about like the Spitfire and the ship and everything, and I'm doing really well. Did I take the handbrake off? Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Yeah. Handbrake is off. Okay, we're good. There we go. That is the Folly Tower, as I have named it. As you know from Over the Hills episode number 2. Let's notch back, heading into the tunnel of hopes and dreams. Alright, so now we are accelerating out of Pennoeth Junction and heading further east along the railway. I'm going to try and give you a little bit of history of the railway as well during this journey, because I don't think I've done a proper cab ride on my own where I've actually given you some history. Right now we are now on the fast section of line, so I'm going to notch right back, give it a bit more reg, because now we're going across the viaduct. This is where we actually leave the South Wales main line and enter the Pennoeth Valley. So that is the Afon Lwyd there, the river, which we see later on. And we're heading into the 40 miles an hour section. So we'll whack the blower on again, so that we get no more fatal blowbacks. And yeah, so preserved railway operations. As you know, the Pennoeth Valley Railway was taken over in 1965 by the Pennoeth Valley Railway Company. It has been running successful preserved railway operations for a good many years. This is set in the future, of course. This is actually set in the year 2020. This video. So the preserved railway operations has been going on for quite a long time. Here we see a pretty standard off-peak train along the Pennoeth Valley. It is one of the few railways in Britain that is sort of authorised to run at speeds higher than the Light Railway Act allows. The Light Railway Act allows about 25 miles an hour normal speed, line speed for the light railways. Here we're allowed to do 40 in certain sections. There are sections of 25 and there's sections of less. In station limits, the speed limit is 10 miles an hour, and certain sections of 40-mile-an-hour stretches. Now, the great thing about this locomotive, it's a heavy hauling freight locomotive, which is perfect for this line. Let's open them dampers as well as we head out into the Pennine Valley for the first time. And we will be coming straight back into another tunnel in a moment. This locomotive is ideal because it can haul a good load of coaches. It could even haul about 12 or 13, you know, on a good day, on a gala day. Right now it's hauling the standard British Railways rake of Mark 1s. No, they're not Mark 1s, they're Collex coaches, I think. It's the dining rake. We have a dining special today. A return to Llandeerdog with a fish and chip special. So we'll be sending somebody into the town at Pennyog to the local chip shop, whistling at the stopboard. We'll be getting fish and chips for our lucky punters. I think any moment now there is actually a station. I think this is Nanty. No, it's not Nanty Glyn. Oh, that's minging. Oh my god, that's disgusting. There is snot everywhere. Oh, crap. This is minging. Okay, maybe I was wrong about this station. Good route knowledge, Reese. You're giving a talk on, a line-side talk on the features of the Pennine Valley Railway, and you don't know where you are. So, yeah, we're already going to be behind time now. Fantastic. So we're going to have to make up a bit of time, I think. Let's turn that blower off. And turn the injector off before I fill the boiler too much. And I have a feeling we'll have to shovel some coal on. Is that the station? There it is. That's the station I was looking for. Oh, look, it's Mr. Dibdin's house there. With two suspicious-looking men in his garden burning shit. It's probably the men he instructed to burn his tax documents. Tax-avoiding bastard. Anyway, approaching this station, I shall just swap sides and shout at the fireman to handle the brake. So let's whack the injector on. Ejector, rather. Oh, I can't believe I sneezed everywhere. It's minging. It's absolutely disgusting. Right. And I'm going to have to get used to using this brake. We actually have some punters on the station. These are the people who have been standing there for 60 years after dye was first delivered. Okay, and brakes on full. Brakes, brakes, stop. Stop, stop, stop. There's not much here at this station, so we won't be here long. Here we go. And doors open. Okay. So, handbrake on. And we shall release the vacuum. Sounds like I'm releasing an ancient Greek evil creature. Release the Kraken! And we'll shovel some coal. Because I've burned 200 pounds of coal from my fire, so I'm sure we're going to need a bit more going up the next section, because it is a steep uphill section, this next bit. Oh, the tip from the guard. Okay, I think it's time to go. Okay, ready? I like pressing that button. It gives you a different kind of whistle. Oh, slippage. I love this engine. This is the Victory Works 4200 class. Should have the drain taps open. Otherwise you'll explode. What was this station called? We drove through it without even actually looking. Blaenberris, I thought it was. Right, the next station along the line is Pennyog Colliery. So yeah, let's tell you a bit more about the ship. I'm on the Amsterdam right now as a third officer. At the moment, I'm only doing one bridge watch a day, and because we've just done 2 nights in Incheon, we're leaving at midnight tonight, and I'm on the 4 to 8 evening watch. So really, I'm only on the bridge at the moment during sea days. So in port days, I'm just on day work, which is, it's nice, but it can be a bit boring. Because I did train to be a navigator, so... Alright. So, yeah. I had so much I wanted to tell you, I should have written some notes in front of me. Oh, on board the ship, let's tell you a bit about the cabin I'm in. I'm in a passenger cabin on the port side of the ship, right underneath the lifeboat deck, so every time they move a lifeboat I can hear it. So it's a good thing I'm the one that's moving lifeboats, generally. I'm the one that's in charge of that, so yeah. Let's notch up a bit, because this is another of those fast sections. And we will stop shoveling, because I've flooded the fire again. This is another fast section, so we're at 25 miles an hour, accelerating to 40, so let's crack up the power. Boiler pressure looks good. We'll whack a bit of water in while we got some excessive steam. Whacking up to 40 miles an hour. This is a very steep uphill section. It's uphill all the way to Nanty Glyn, which is Nanty Glyn, if for those of you who watch over the hills, is where Mr. Davies' house is, the Nanty Glyn Reservoir. That is the summit of the line right there. So it's pretty much climbing all the way to Nanty Glyn. Alright, 33 miles an hour, and we shall notch back to the normal running position. We can lay off the reg. And she's going really nicely. 4253. Why did I choose this engine? I should probably have lit the lamp before we left. There we go. 4253 is a special engine in my heart. Those of you who know me, I used to formerly be a volunteer of the Pontypool-Blaenavon Railway in South Wales. Unfortunately, politics at the railway and also my own commitments to my career working at sea prevents me from volunteering there anymore. And it's actually almost been 10 years since I last volunteered there. Well, maybe not 10 years. It was 2010. It's been 7 years since I was there. Oh my god, there has been a line-side fire. This is evidence from when I first started recording episode 6 of Over the Hills. There was a little line-side fire. This is what remains of the filming that I did. Unfortunately, the video had to be deleted because I was having lots of problems with Train Simulator at the time. And it just kept derping on me. I can't remember exactly what was wrong. Well, let's notch up a bit more because we need to make a bit more speed than this. I should be doing 38 by now, really. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately the video which I did record from episode 6 had to be deleted. As you know, I'm going to be re-recording all of the videos anyway, because now with the Faces project. So James Horrocks, if you're watching, again, thank you so much for all your hard work during the last year with the Faces. Also Thomas Dibden for doing the script editing for the Faces. I'm not sure exactly when this video is going to be uploaded, because it's now the 19th of February. Ah, hello. We're going to be slowing down to 25 miles an hour soon. So we've shut off the reg, and there is Pennyog Colliery. There she blows. Ejector is open, so we'll slow down as we pass Leslie and Ian's former home. I should do a cab ride, you know, driving Leslie or Ian at some point. Perhaps I'll just do one with them. It would help if I actually made sure I was going into the right road, which luckily I am. I have to be driver, fireman and signalman on this run. There's a slight downhill gradient here, entering Pennyog. But we have to slow down to 10 miles an hour anyway, so let's slow down a bit more. I think this is Farmer Littlewood's farm coming up on the left. I've slowed down too quickly. Again. I'm good at that. If I remember from my script writing, because it's been a while since I edited those scripts lower on because we were going in the tunnel, that is Farmer Littlewood's farm right there. And that will become evident to those of you later in the series. If the series ever gets finished, which it will. So we're just passing under a small tunnel because Llandeerdog station is located in a very weird place for a station. It's right in the middle of like a little valley thing. And there it is, Llandeerdog station. Beautiful and picturesque, with a little narrow gauge railway on the left, but nobody knows about that because it's not featuring in the story. Oh no, that's the wrong button. That's what I wanted to do. So we'll slow down a bit now because the last time I did this I didn't get it right either. Signalman has just given us the road, but that is quite easy because we are the only engine on the section, or on the line at all. I've overfilled the boiler again because I'm grossly incompetent. So we're doing well. And we'll just bring her to a nice little stop. There we go. Let these fantastic passengers off. Nobody wants to get off, do they? But we got to send our man to go and get the fish and chips anyway, so it's okay. So well, that's left. So I've had the handbrake on for the whole journey, thus proving that the handbrake is a bit pointless. Excuse me. So we'll take off the vacuum brake. In fact, instead of using the handbrake, I'm going to simulate the handbrake just by putting the first coach brake on. So, Llandeerdog. Let's have a little look around Llandeerdog while we're waiting for the fish and chip man to go and get all the chips from the town. He's going to be really quick. Engine's happy enough, I think, so here is Llandeerdog Station. And those of you who remember Over the Hills, this is where Ian was run in episode 3, and he dropped a fusible. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. I can't remember. Did he drop a fusible? Or did he just run out of water completely? No, I think he did drop a fusible, and then the fire department went and put the bloody fire hose in his firebox. The obvious question I'm going to get from you people now is, where did the fire department get their truck in here from? I'm going to answer that by saying the fire department would have come up here, parked somewhere nearby, run a hose all the way to the engine there. That's my explanation anyway. Lots of you are probably wondering about what happens at Llandeerdog Colliery. Let's go fly over Llandeerdog Colliery. Here it is, Ian and Leslie's former home. There's not really a whole lot here, to be honest. It's pretty dead. It's just one pit head with some buildings and a massive pile of coal. Oh look, it's the board of directors from episode 1. You were fired, Mr. Bruce. They're all still here. Oh look, a cow. Yeah, so that is Llandeerdog Colliery. This is Llandeerdog. I've never really mentioned this building here. Don't really have a backstory. I've kind of avoided it in Over the Hills, but I am sort of thinking of including some form of narrow gauge railway at some point, but it's obviously, you know, it's going to be a long time in the future before any mention of it is made, because it's, you know, the line is closed. This narrow gauge line will have been derelict for decades by the time the preserved railway volunteers turn up. And it's just a small line up to a quarry by the look of it. Here is the quarry, Llandeerdog Quarry. It could feature in an Over the Hills story, I guess. Or I suppose it could even be part of the coal mining operation. If I had some coal somewhere, a little narrow gauge railway providing coal. In addition to Pennyhold Colliery, of course. Maybe that could be the secondary pithead or something. Alright, so the fish and chip man has arrived. That's the cart that they brought all the fish and chips on in our restaurant coach. This man, these people look particularly happy about their fish and chips. They look absolutely ecstatic. Look at the detailing on those people. So, engine seems happy as well. Blower is on, no wonder we're blowing off, so it's wasting steam. Although I don't mind wasting steam right now because we put too much water in that boiler. Tip from the guard. Let's take the handbrake off, number 1. And we're off. Drain taps open. Let's go. We shall continue on the line. And did I even set the road? No, probably didn't. I hate being signalman. I'm grossly incompetent. Oh, the signalman did it for me. It's only one track, Reese. It's not difficult. Alright. Engine's bouncing like a bucking bronco. Now we're entering another 40 miles an hour section from Pennyhold to Nantyglyn. We will be going past the Nantyglyn Castle as well on the left. Or is it? No, it's Nantyglyn Manor, I think. Which is basically a castle. Let's do some shoveling. And some water injecting. So, off and running again. Hello, sheep. You are the butt of all the jokes on the Facebook group. Whenever somebody wants to do a funny, they go, haha, sheep. And everybody goes, haha, haha, sheep. And apparently that's funny. Not that I'm resentful or anything. I can take a joke. Not really. I'm a miserable bastard. There we go. 38 miles an hour. Pretty much the general line speed for this engine. I was telling you about this engine earlier, but once again I just kind of ramble and talk a load of crap. This engine, 4253, was stored at the Pontypool and Blaenberris Railway for many years. It left Barry Island in 1989, I think, where it arrived and spent a long time languishing at the Pontypool and Blaenberris Railway, where it was then rescued by members from the 4253 Engine Company, who I follow on Facebook. By the way, if I remember, I'll put the link to their Facebook in this group in the video description below. I'm going to put quite a lot in the video description below, so be prepared for me shouting out randomly during the video. Oh, check the link below for this thing. Farmer Littlewood's cows are walking across the cow bridge. Yes, Farmer Littlewood literally built a bridge for his cows. And there's Nantyglyn Manor. More of a medieval German castle than anything else. Stop shoveling. Hopefully we'll have enough fuel burning for going up the hill. This is the final ascent to the summit of the line, so we should be good steam wise. And there it is, Nantyglyn Manor. I think Nantyglyn Manor will play a very significant part in the story in Series 2. Don't know how much you guys know, probably not much, because I haven't really told much about it. Oh, sorry, excuse me. I'm tired. I've done quite a lot today. The last day, yesterday, I was going to do this video yesterday, actually. But, while I was messing around with Train Sim, I was messing around with the settings a lot. And I was trying to get the audio levels right, and I just wasn't happy with the way that it was going, because it just wasn't, it didn't feel right, it just didn't feel good enough. Whereas I've done it again today. I spent an hour and a half today doing it, and it's a lot better now. I adjusted the brightness and the screen resolution and stuff. You've probably noticed as well is that the screen resolution is finally in 1920 by 1080p, which is high definition, which it should be. Recording on the Death Star PC, unfortunately, because of, I think, either the graphics card or the screens that I was using, it just wasn't really an option to use 1080p for my screen resolution. So that is why a lot of videos just looked weird. The screen resolution just wasn't great. There was just something up with it. But now I'm filming 60 frames a second using 920 by 1080p, and at the moment, according to Bandicam, we're getting 45 frames a second. Oh, we're blowing off, making plenty of steam. Here we are, passing over the Llandeerdog viaduct. Let's get some external shots of the engine. Oh, look at that. She's really powering along there. What a view. With a beautifully restored 7-coach rake and apparently 2 restaurant cars, which I don't know why she has 2 restaurant cars. I do apologise about that. Yeah. What time is it now? 11:31. So we set off from Blaenberris at 11 o'clock. David Seward did make me a proper timetable, so I'm sorry, Dave. Please don't be mad. So we're just about to pass over the summit of the line. 40 miles an hour running is beautifully done for this loco, because you pretty much max out at about 40 miles an hour anyway. And, you know, she's making plenty of steam. So I think controlling her is going to be the hardest bit, controlling her steam production. Yeah, we got a green signal all the way. That's the Llandeerdog reservoir there on the right. We're just about to pass Mr. Davies' house. There's the horses. Miss Davies, Victoria Davies, likes keeping horses. There she is, and the dogs. Boston and Poppy. I didn't whistle to her because the dogs were there. I don't want to scare the dogs. So we're going into the tunnel, blower on. Oh yeah, you might have noticed as well as I no longer get ear raped every time we go into a tunnel. There is a setting in Train Sim, EFX, and also it's not just EFX. It's the Armstrong, no, a Steam Sound Supreme Rail Enhancement Pack, or Rail Sounds Enhancement Pack. And if you install it and you go into a tunnel, it pretty much just deafens you with how much sound you get, all the reverb and stuff. Which is great if it's just you. But when you're making a video, you go into a tunnel and suddenly bang, your headset explodes. It's not that fun, especially when you're doing a live stream. So there's Llandeerdog. I better put the brakes on. Let's try not to mess it up, which I inevitably will. The blower is off. Let's swap sides. Brakes on. This is, as you can probably tell from the amount of times that I've used this engine, brakes on full, because we're going to overshoot if we don't. Oh, there's Mr. Edmondson. Brakes off. Oh, what a professional. What a professional. Couldn't have got any better if I, didn't do it myself. Oh yeah. Take that, Andy Stovold. Are we still injecting? We were. Injector off, please, Mr. Fireman. This is Llandeerdog, where the people are still waiting who looked at die when he arrived all those years ago in game. Probably wondering about the coaches. These are the Matrix trains. They're available. Matrix trains Collet coaches. They're available to download from the Steam Workshop, and you know what? They are fantastic. There's lots of different ones. You got like LMS P3 coaches and Gresley coaches and loads of different ones. So I recommend thoroughly going to get them. Okay, tip from the guard. Oh, by the way, Mr. David Seward is our guard. Haven't really shown him. The man who made our timetable, who is probably really angry at me right now for forgetting his timetable. Yeah. So the brakes are now sucked off. No! Right. Achtung, stay there. Right, okay. Brake is in the best position now, so tip from the guard. And we is off in it. Oh, she's slipping. Come on. So yeah, 4253 was restored by the Kent and East Sussex Railway Volunteers, and after a few seasons running on various heritage railways and the Kent and East Sussex Railway, they've decided to hire her out, and one of the railways that was willing to lend this engine was the Pennoeth Valley Railway, because their resident engine, number 53802 Dye, is currently out of ticket because of boiler problems. Not really mentioned in the story, so don't take that too seriously. I'm talking about this railway as a preserved railway, but it's not really sort of based on the story. I'm just kind of making it up a bit. Let's shovel some coal. So we are still in the 40 miles an hour section all the way to Abersaif. Yeah, and 4253 was loaned to the Pennoeth Valley Railway for a 5-year period, which will take 4253 to the end of its boiler ticket. Because in this universe anyway, 4253 has been working very, very hard since being overhauled. It's done sterling service for many a preserved railway, and for the last 5 years, or for the next few years anyway, it's running on a regular basis on a Pennoeth Valley Railway, which, let's be honest, is kind of ragging it a bit. You know, pretty much second valve all the way, which is not that big a deal. These engines were designed to do hard work, and she spent 60 years sitting around doing nothing anyway, so it's fine. Okay, Mr. Fireman, you can stop shoveling, or we'll be having line-side fires again. Aha! So this is one of the rivers that feed into the Avon Lwyd. We're crossing over this beautifully built bridge, built by the original Pennoeth Valley Railway Company, which was actually not the Pennoeth Valley Railway Company. At that time it was the London and North Western Railway. Originally this line would have been built by the LNWR, at the same time that they built a lot of the lines in South Wales, connecting the northern end of the South Wales valleys to the Midland region. Eventually, well, during the early days it would have been operated with LNWR locos, and at Blaenberris especially there was an allocation of the LNWR G2A 080 heavy freight locomotives, and the coal tanks as well. The LNWR coal tank. So those engines would have been allocated here. For those of you who are trying to sort of picture it, if you remember the Abergavenny to Merthyr line special, which was the Super D and the coal tank, that's the type of locomotives that would have worked this line in the early days of operation. And then, of course, there was the grouping period where the London Midland region took over, or the London Midland and Scottish took over the LNWR, which then allocated engines such as Black 5s to the line, as well as... Before I keep talking, let's just set the road ahead. Which, oh crap. Crap. Oh, because I keep talking. Just flying through Aberystwyth Station. I'm grossly incompetent, you know. Brakes on full. Crap. Don't overshoot. You've done so well so far, Reese. Stop. You've overshot again, Ralph. Oh, oh. Well, you know, it could have been a lot worse. If I do say so myself. So, I was going to earlier put some form of other traffic on this line. I was also going to take on water here. But to be honest, we got plenty in the tank. And I've overshot the platform. So I don't think I'm going to bother. Because I was just talking too much. So this is Aberystwyth, which is one of the main passing sections on the line. Often considered to be the halfway point of the line, but in reality it's not. But in terms of operations, I suppose it is, because it's got the longest platforms out apart from Llandeerdog and Blaenberris. So it's where trains can properly pass, where any of the coaches sticking out the end of the platform. Yeah. So in normal preserved railway operation, we would actually be passing other trains here, but because I haven't set up a scenario and I can't be bothered to wait, and because we're going to be running back along the line later, I haven't done it. So let's suck them damn brakes off, because I love doing that apparently. Handbrake on. Shovel some coal. Brakes are off. Running position. No, stop applying the brakes, you idiot. Right, okay. Brakes are applied, full forward gear. And tip from the guard, which I think will be right about now. Which is funny, because it always happens when I say it will. And that's because I'm adding the whistle sound effects. And we're spinning those wheels. Fantastic. So I've just been rambling a complete load of crap for the last few minutes. So, stop spinning. Helps if you take the handbrake off. Although we established that it doesn't actually work. Stop shoveling. Alright, so we're off again. Right. Again, before I start talking. It's all single track as far as here. But we're not in that section yet, so we won't be able to set the track. Going into a tunnel. Blowing off. I got the ejector on to try and use up some of that steam. I imagine most of you sit there thinking that I can't drive trains. I can. It's just, you know, I don't practice because I've been working at sea. I haven't practiced that much, especially complicated advanced engines like this. If I drove them on a more regular basis, I think I'd be a lot better at controlling the fire. Especially, you know, I'm trying to make a video, I'm trying to talk to you guys as well, and do signalling and driving, and I'm a little bit tired as well, been working all day, so that's my excuse anyway. I'm sure lots of people can do it better, but there's no need to comment on how crap a driver I am, because a lot of you do seem to do that, and it's not very nice. Oh, I didn't know that thing moved. Okay. We're off and running now. So this is the run from Aberystwyth to No, it's not. Not Llandeerdog, to Pontymoyle. Pontymoyle is a sleepy little village. And then after Pontymoyle, we'll be passing over the Avon Lwyd cliff top, which is a 15 miles an hour section. and then we'll be back into the 25 miles an hour, no, it's 40 miles an hour section to Llandeerdog, and then we'll be running into Llandeerdog itself. And actually 45 minutes of running, you know, we're making good time. Admittedly, we haven't had to really stop anywhere for a significant amount of time, but I do plan on running around the train, possibly even turning on the turntable and running all the way back. And then we'll have actually made a full run of the Llandeerdog line. Oh, maybe that's Farmer Littlewood's farm over there. I'm sorry, but this view right here, this is why I bought a laptop for Train Sim. A 4200 class in full beautiful graphics on a passenger working on a preserved railway. This is just so beautiful. In the scenery as well. Robert, if you're watching, well done with this. This route is just beautiful. I am in love with this route. Let's turn that blower off. I knew there was a reason why I chose this route. Shut the injector off. So, let's talk a bit about the voyage that I'm on. We're on the World Cruise. So I flew out last week to Osaka in Japan, and I'm sniffing like hell because the ship's air conditioning always makes me ill whenever I come back on board. That's probably why my nose exploded earlier. After I joined the ship in Osaka, we went to Kagoshima and then Nagasaki. Then we sailed to Incheon, where we are now. So, not been on the ship very long, only a week. And it's a 4-month contract. So we've got a long way to go yet. I'll upload this video when I get home, and you'll all be watching this video, looking at your watches and thinking, "Hey, what's he on about? 19th of February? It's June. Why are you talking about February?" And also because it's February, last night I finally got to watch the Gary the Steam Engine episode which Tom made, called "A Great Problem Fucks Off." And it pays homage to the original first episode of Gary the Steam Engine, which I think when I watched it, it brought back so many memories. Just all of, you know, the attitude of the characters, seeing how they interacted with each other. It just brought back a lot of memories, good memories. It does make me sad now that I'm not gonna do Gary the Steam Engine. I suppose I could do a special. I was thinking about doing like a movie, and I suppose I'm just gonna see how it goes with this new laptop. The priority is to get Over the Hills filmed and things like Panniers and Dicks, and I also want to play around with Grand Theft Auto 5. Oh, this laptop is very hot. I'm just feeling the laptop, and it is incredibly hot. So some form of new ventilation requirement is in order, I believe. Perhaps if I just pull it back away from that wall, maybe that will help. Well, the laptop was pushed up right against the back of the desk, so maybe this will make a difference. Because I've been talking so much during this video, my throat is absolutely killing me. I think I just heard my cabin stewards knocking on the door. And yes, I have a cabin steward, so I never have to make my bed. All my life my mum told me, one day you're going to have to make your bed and behave like an adult. Here I am, 28 years old, and I still don't have to make my bed. So don't believe the adults when they tell you. What the hell? I just shut the fire doors, and the fire mass just went up by £100. So the smoke has gone thick black, that's probably why. So we've just emerged in the Eastern Valley, so we've passed through the Pennine Valley and we're now on the Eastern Valley. Although that may be the other way around, I can't remember exactly. So we're on the nice run. Oh, it's going to 25 apparently, which yes, that's right, it is. Let's shut that reg. Whack the injector on to use up some of the steam. Look at the view. We're on... Oh. Brakes! It's a bit of an S-bend coming up here. I do love this scenery. I mean, look at that. It's right on a cliff top. This is seen pretty much out of the Titfield Thunderbolt right there, with the road running underneath the rail or past the railway. I mean, how many other routes in Train Sim have a view like this? With exception possibly of the new Severn Valley Railway from Steam Sound Supreme. What a route that is. I did drive it in a live stream just before I came out to the ship actually, but I made the stupid mistake of using the Exeter to Kingswear pannier. So I reached the one end of the line and I couldn't run around anymore. Oh man, my throat is killing me. I'm sorry, I keep drinking, I know. The great thing about having a cabin steward, he looks after you personally. So I have, you know, he takes my laundry to the laundry room and brings it back, all folded and ironed. He makes sure that my room has drinks. So I've got a nice big supply of Coca-Cola and Sprite and Diet Coke. Although I feel a little bit insulted that he sort of put a lot more Diet Cokes than anything else. Which sort of is him, I think, giving me a hint. So now we're arriving at Pontymoyle. I think we'll see Mr. Bruce's bus there once again. And where is it? There it is. Hello, Mr. Bruce's bus. It's been moved out of camera shot now, but it's still present. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, people. I probably should have tried making a video when I'm not really ill. Brakes on. Pontymoyle Station. And if you've missed anything, don't worry, we will be returning later on, as long as I don't crash when I run round the train. The last time we did a live stream, I don't know why we bothered doing it, because in the live stream I said, let's do a race where we have to reach the one end, run around, and then return. And as we all know from all my videos, I can't run round. It just doesn't happen. Suck off them brakes. What else is there to mention? Oh yeah, Caledonian Works, the work of Chris Wilson. He works for he works for DT now. He's a content developer for them, I believe. And he is developing a Scottish locomotive, which he will release via DT, I believe. Wonderful looking engine. It's an 080 tank engine, I think. It's either that one or it's the 828 Caledonian. Oh, wheel slippage. Let's open them drain taps. Something weird going on with the regulator here. Oh, she is slipping a bit there. You've really got to manipulate this regulator to get it to go, especially on a gradient. I think we're on a slight gradient. You do really have to manipulate it to get it going. But that's a good thing. I mean, it's nice to have properly made locomotives in Train Sim. especially properly made Great Western locomotives, as it should be. I'm sorry, but if any of you say there's too many Great Western locos in Train Sim, it's just plain and simple, you're just wrong. There's just no other way. You're just wrong. So we're now hitting the next 40 miles an hour section, which is the last 40 mile an hour section of the line. We probably won't have to shovel until close to Llandeerdog now. So we got 1,000 gallons of water, so I think we started with 1,700, so we've used 700 gallons. Yeah, probably take on water on the way back. I think we'll reach Abersaeth, maybe. Well, I don't know. Yeah, we might reach Abersaeth on what we got, as long as I'm sparing, which I'm not. So perhaps Llandeerdog will be the better option. I do think try and turn around as well at Llandeerdog, since the computer is running really nicely. Getting a steady 45 frames a second as we head valiantly eastwards towards Llandeerdog Harbour. So Llandeerdog, let's talk about Llandeerdog. It was a holiday destination, but primarily when the LNWR built it, it was used as a fishing port, but then as a cargo port as well. And then during the Second World War it became an oil terminal, oil importing terminal, because it was easier and safer to import oil in random locations, so that the Germans couldn't specifically target convoys of ships, because they would all, if they knew where the convoy would go each time, then they could just sit off the coast near that place and just wait for the tankers to come in. I mean, obviously all cargo ships would have been targets of the German U-boats during the war, but if you made it a bit more random, then you avoided the risk of losing all your petrol and your oil, your heavy fuel oil, which of course during the Second World War was very difficult to get hold of. It came, you know, all the fuel oil in Britain would have come from the United States, because I think the Middle East would have been very difficult to get hold of oil during World War II, but I could be wrong. Perhaps some of our resident war historians can correct me on that one. Alright, so we are now approaching, in fact stop shoveling, because we are approaching the 15 miles an hour section. So brakes full on. Oh, I've actually done it in ample time as well. There it is. I think. Let's just zoom ahead. Yep, there's the cliff top. Perhaps a little bit early, but that's okay. What time is it? 58, so we're approaching an hour since we left Blaenberris. I think me and Dave came up with about an hour and 15 minutes from Blaenberris to Llandeerdog on a timetabled run. So, well, it might even have been an hour and a half. Of course, that's, you have to factor in things such as token exchanges and taking on water, that kind of thing. One day, I do hope that Train Sim will have advanced to a stage where multiplayer will be an option. I do hope that they're not going to just abandon Train Sim, like with this Train Sim World malarkey. Because as fantastic as it looks, there's one route available. I might be wrong, maybe there will be more routes. But the fact that they've not included any UK Steam has kind of put me off the idea. And it's been very poorly implemented so far, so we shall see how it goes. Especially, you know, when I hear things such as your DLC that you've bought over the last 10 years of train sim and railworks will no longer work. And I just think, well, I've spent upwards of about £8,000 to £10,000 on DLC over the last 10 years, so I don't think I'm in that much of a hurry to throw it all away. Train sim might not be perfect, but do you know what? Looking at this view right now, I'm driving my favourite tank engine on my favourite railway. How could it get any better than this? So we've left the cliff top. I probably should wait until the last carriage is off the cliff top before speeding up, but meh, I don't play by the rules. I'm a bit of a maverick, as you know. Somebody is knocking. Just one moment, chaps. Hello, how are you? Good. Do you need anything tonight? No, thank you. It's okay, you don't need to ask me everything.
Okay.
It's okay. Thanks.
Okay, sure. Alright.
Cheers.
Only in the morning?
Sorry?
Service only in the morning?
Yeah. Oh, was it after 1 o'clock?
After 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay. How about in the night? Do you need any service?
No. No need.
Okay.
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 Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's my cabin steward annoying me again. He did this yesterday as well. Is in the evening he decided to knock on the door. Oh crap! That could have gone better. So you probably sat there watching this video thinking, "Oh my god, he doesn't know what he's doing." Well, no, I don't. I just make it up as I go. So, let's continue our journey. I'm pretty sure press escape and pause the game option is not in the is not something that's in the timetable. What a view. Okay, so right, 25 miles an hour down to Oh, here we go again. We're gonna crash into the volunteers again from episode 4. Or is it episode 3? Oh dear. Permanent wayception is happening. The 42 will eat the permanent way crew. If anyone wants to do a sketch of that, please, by all means, go ahead. Bit weird what's happening with the regulator at the moment as well. It's only slightly open, yet it says 89%. That's weird. Power. Alright. Let's put the injector on. We're going to let the fire die down a little bit now. So damper's shut, blower is off. Let's close the ejector. Oh, what am I talking about? This is a 40 miles an hour section. It's opening dampers again. It's 40 miles an hour from here down to Llandeerdog. I'm ill. I'm allowed to make mistakes. Said no driver ever. So great, we're behind time now. So let's talk a little bit about what to expect in the coming months then. Oh look, I'm speeding up and this speed limit's going to go right down again. Fantastic. So this is the first video just to sort of test the water about making videos, and do you know what, making videos on the ship is just as good as making videos at home. There's no real difference. Apart from having a second screen, which at the moment, because I'm in a passenger cabin, because there's no space for me down below decks, when one of my fellow colleagues does leave the ship, there will be space. So I'll be able to move and then I'll be able to set everything up properly, which will include my second screen. The company does provide TVs in our cabins, and luckily I've brought a cable so I can plug the laptop's second output into the laptop, into the TV, so I can do video editing and magical things while I'm on board. Oh, we got 850 gallons of water left. That's not so clever. Okay. It's about to return to a 25 miles an hour speed limit. We got time to make up, so we better open the taps a bit. This is the view inside the passenger coaches. Very nice. Alright, so we're just approaching Pantygassog. I can never remember the name of my own stations. Silly. Hopefully the road is set correctly. I don't particularly like the station master at this station because he's a bit of a dick. So every time I go past as a driver, I just whistle the hell out of as I go past his house, just to annoy him a bit. Don't you whistle excessively at stations while I'm the station master? Yeah, well, while I'm the engine driver, I'll whistle as much as I want. Still politics even on the Pennoy Valley Railway. Just because it's fictional doesn't mean it's immune from all the preserved railway politics. Alright. Pantygassog. A light here for Llandeerdog Harbour, which is a cargo terminal, which you can't go to. Yeah, so at some point in the line's history, I don't know when, I'm going to build a second platform here at Pantygassog, because it's doesn't have a second platform, but it should. Alright. Brakes on because I never took them off. Full forward gear. And if I remember rightly, this station is on a gradient, so yeah. Okay, we're off. So you see, I don't think we're going to need that much energy to get it to roll. There we go, running position. So, you know, we've used about 1,000 gallons of water from Blaenberris to Llandeerdog in a 42, not really being very economic. You know, pretty much regulator through the roof the whole way. You know, I don't think she's done too badly considering she's got a crap driver. Oh, lag spike. Where did that come from? Blow her on. So this is the final powery bit. And that's it. I shouldn't theoretically have to open the regulator now until we leave the... or we uncouple from the train. Because we're running downhill now, and it's a 25 miles an hour speed limit, so let's put the brakes on and release them again and leave them in the running position. See if I get the balance right where 23.7, a little bit more release. If you get the balance right on the vacuum, so I'm holding at 23.9 inches of mercury, then you can probably get the brakes applied just enough so that you're maintaining speed. However, then the gradient increases, so we have to apply them again. It's probably too much. Yep, it's too much. 22 inches of mercury. Let's see what happens. And we're blowing off. What a surprise. It's because the blower's on, Reese. That's why, you silly Billy. What a video you guys have had to listen to me for an hour going. Oh, that's nice. 21 miles an hour down the hill. Shut the injector. Shut the dampers. Tom Stibden will be very pleased with me for shutting those dampers. 12:10. I'd say 12:15. Yeah, hour and 15 minutes for a good arrival. 42.53 has performed magnificently today as we approach Llandeerdog Harbour. So let's make sure the road is correctly set, which it is for the main platform. So we gotta slow down to 15 miles an hour now. Permanent Way gang is on the line. They haven't waved back to confirm that they've seen me, so I'm gonna spit on this guy's head as we roll past. The home signal is down, so we're free to enter station limits. We are going ever so slightly fast, of course. 15 miles an hour is the speed limit here, so let's slow down a bit. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Permanent Way Department of the Pennoy Valley Railway. Rails and buildings and buffer stops and barrels and ballast is all any railway needs. And look, a turntable. And is Leslie stuck in the wall? No, he isn't. Leslie is not there. Thank God. You're probably wondering what I'm talking about there. Normally I have to put like a model of Leslie, the dead model, somewhere on the turntable just to make the turntable appear due to this glitch in Train Sim. This time it looks like we've got away with it. This is a station announcement. This is Llandeerdog, Llandeerdog, Llandeerdog. Change here for services to England via the ocean on a shippy thing. Now there's no stop board, I just realised. We should have a stop board. Something for the annual general meeting to bring up, I think. The drivers need a stop board. I have to stop in the right place so that I can actually run round my train. I think that we are almost there. Because I've got the lane for the locomotive and... Stop! Fantastic. Oh look, we're blowing off. What a surprise. Okay. Passengers are disembarking. We are gonna do some running around-isms. But first of all, let's go have a cup of tea in the station cafe. We don't have a station cafe. I vote that there is a sign floating in the air. Advertising tea. Advertising tea in the cafe, which we do not have. We need a station cafe. There is no engines in the shed. Oh my god, there's people in the shed. Who are you? Oh my god, it's Mr. Oh my god. There's loads of people out the back. It's all the people from the original meeting. And look, it's Mr. Davies, who is flying in the sky. That's how much cocaine he took this morning. So, engine blowing off. I thinks we better go do some servicing. So, let us put all of the carriage brakes firmly on whilst we perform our run round procedure. So we'll put it in reverse gear with the brakes off, handbrake off, whilst we buffer up. I think we're buffered up. I only wanted to go a little bit. Okay. So we squeezed up to our train. For those of you who don't really know what I've just did, when on British Mark 1s and general coaching stock, you have to have the tight fitting coupling, you have to make the buffers go smaller to fit the screw coupling on. Otherwise it just won't work. Then you've got the tight fitting, but the buffers are firmly pressed up against each other. So when you want to uncouple the train, you have to squeeze up to push the buffers in so that you can undo the coupling, which I've just done with a click of a mouse. But this is the screw coupling here. That little bar in the middle unscrews and then it connects onto the hooks. So then you can squeeze. You have to squeeze up. I think it's the same in Australia. Those of you watching who live in Aussie land, you could probably tell me. Oh, the doors are still open. Ah, things are happening. I've never seen a train in Train Sim do this. The doors are slightly ajar. Hopefully that's not a glitch, because otherwise it's going to happen, well, forever. So let's do this. Handbrake off, fireman. Oh crap, stop. I only wanted to roll forward a little bit. Okay. So far so good. We're rolling forwards into the head shunt. Things are actually looking quite good right now. I'm not going to go too fast. I'm not going to overdo my luck. Brakes on. Reverse gear. We need to get permission from the signalman to make our maneuver. So, as the signalman, wait, what? What? No, stop. Why did you just start? I don't trust you anymore, 4253. Just decided to start chuffing off on your own. Regulator is definitely shut. Drain taps are open. And we're in neutral. So let's try that again, shall we? Let's go. So, to perform the run round manoeuvre, first of all, the head shunt needs to be switched. Followed... oh no. We will run onto the empty coaching stock in the head shunt there. But we need to access the turntable. There we go. So we are now permitted to run it back onto the turntable. So Mr. Seward is no longer in charge of the train because we are under shunting limits. Power. Power. Why this? Open. It would help, Reese, if you were in gear. Let's try that again. Power. She's rolling. Now this is something I'm not 100% sure of, because this is a super tight turn. Oh, she's... Oh. She is not happy there. She is really not happy with this head shunt. Too fast. Well, I would have just straightened the track with a head shunt that tight, I think, and I would have taken a big chunk out of the platform. Oh well. I can't believe we're actually doing something properly for a change. It's because I'm not in a Skype call with Tom. That's what's making the difference. If I'm in a Skype call with Tom, he just messes me up. I do weird stuff. So, yeah. Tom, if you're watching this, I blame you entirely. I'm pretty sure that everyone else watching this video is blaming you as well. Tom is the reason that it always goes wrong. Because he's sat there going, oh, I really hope you derail. I just realised I had the headlamps wrong again. That should be a tail lamp. Put the injector on. Who would have thought that you could have so much fun with just one engine and one train? It's because, you know, they've really developed a route pretty much tailor-made for me. It's a Great Western, it's a sort of Welsh country branch line, which I've made it into, with a heavy freight tank engine. Yeah. I'm super happy about that. Okay, so we're in the head shunt thing. So now we're going to set the road for the turntable. Come on, driver. Let's go and see if we can not fall off the turntable. Just have to give it a very quick, gentle shove with the regulator, and then she goes. Very small movements of the regulator make this engine move. She's a big beast designed for hauling heavy coal over big hills. And we're all set to go onto the turntable road by the look of it. Oh. No, too fast. Slow down. Good tank engine. Slow down. I wonder if the West Somerset Railway PLC will mind that I've kind of pikeyed their turntable. Brakes. Oh! Oh! Oh, what? How oh. Slightly unbalanced. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference in this turntable operation, so let's turn. Fantastic. No, it's not. I should have done this one. Let's try swinging it back to the next doobie what's it. Brakes off. And we're going to go backwards. And I've overfilled the boiler. Well, I suppose it's better to have it too full. That rail is not lined up at all. Let's hope we don't derail. Dunk. Well, alright. Probably should have checked the points as well. So we're backing onto the shed road now. Onto the water column. We don't really need coal, to be honest. Okay, now I've got to stop in the right place to take on water. Stop, 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 stop! Stupid reg. There's the water column. I might replace... Oh, brakes. Dump. Ah! Now I'm holding the T key. Is it enough? Or is it Y? Oh, it might be. Yeah, let's put the water in the funnel. What could possibly go wrong there? Okay, so we're putting the water straight in the smoke box. Let's flood the smoke box with water. But at least it's taking on water. I was hoping by now someone would have made a water tower with animated bag and, you know, everything that the guy could actually climb up and chuck it in the in the tank, you know. It would be nice to see it done. There we go. 1,800 gallons. Thank you, sir. We are replenished. So, without further ado, I think it's time for Mr. Signalman, Jones the Signalman, to put us on the main line, which is... Oh, we gotta go all the way back where we were. Onto Dye's coaches. What time is it now? 12:26. Well, we might make the 12:30. We've turned around and we've taken on water, so we're going to be, hopefully, if we're quick, ready for the 12:30 departure from Llandeerdog. However, to be honest, I don't think we're going to be that quick. We are slightly exceeding the shunt speed limit, but we're running late. Commercial pressure for the win. Yes, commercial pressure even affects those on preserved railways. I'm not sure how this would fare as a shunt, because we're running into empty coaching stock here. Brakes on full, please, Mr. Driver. Alright, and then we signal to the whistle. We whistle to the signalman that we are clear of the head shunt, because he probably can't see us, and we're ready to proceed back onto where our coach is. Yep. So the road is set. The shunt signal is given somehow. I've got no idea how shunt signals work. All I know is that because I'm the signalman, I've given us permission to back onto our coaches. I think it's called being set to. Is it? Mr. David Seward will know. Our guard. He has been given. We've been given permission to set onto our coaches. Oi, dive! I had a load of Tums earlier. I think I'm going to poo out a stick of chalk later. For those of you who have ever eaten Tums. Drop a comment in the comment section below if you've ever eaten so many Tums that you've had a poo of a stick of chalk. Oh, I'm disgusting, I know. Alright then, chaps. So we are now setting onto our coaches. Brakes on full. The fireman will climb down and will perform the shunt. So, Mr. Driver, please set on to your coaches. Power! Brakes, brakes, brakes. So I'm leaving the brakes on and I'm just manipulating the regulator just so that we manoeuvre a little bit. Clunk. That's way too close. So we're going to pretend that the buffers are squared up, but I am actually going to move forward ever so slightly. Because those of you who've played Train Simulator before will know that if your buffers are doing this, weird and wonderful things will happen. So that's... Oh, look how perfect that was. So if I'd have left, you know, the buffers overlapping, it's like a weird glitch with Train Sim. Then you click couple up and the coaches will just like explode with the fury of 1,000 suns. And that is a scientific fact. So the fireman is going to shovel some coal ready for the journey. I'm going to put the handbrake on the loco. We're going to stick the brakes off because we're going to perform our brake dumping test. First of all, I need to unchock the brakes on each coach because we locked and pinned the train earlier. And now we're going to, as per our guard, who should be standing... Oh no, he's disappeared. Let's see. Brake dump. There we go, the train pipe is empty. So we have proved that our train is ready to leave. So the passengers are on, I believe. Mr. Dave the guard will have dealt with that. It's an empty looking platform, so I think it's all set to go. The volunteers have only been given a very short time to turn this train around, but then they're very well rehearsed in doing so. So let's stop shoveling because I think we'll have more than enough steam. Put the injector on just for a moment. Tip from the guard, and it is almost time to go. So we're just waiting for the tip. There we go. I know that's not technically the right signal for the right of way, but I like it. So let's go. Make sure that the road is set, which I should have done before we set off. Sorry, Dave. There we go. We're all set for Llandeerdog. And we're off. So I think it's been an hour and a half since we set off from Blaenberris. By that rate, it's going to be about 10:15 in the evening when we're finished, in my local time. Which is not a big problem for me, because I've been waiting to make a video ever since I got on this ship. Speed limit of 15 miles an hour in station limits. Well, chaps, we've made AWP history again tonight because that's the first time in one of these videos that I've actually made it to the other end, run around, and made it out of the station limits without derailing. So I think we've achieved a lot today. And it's time to notch up to about 47% because we have got a real steep climb now up to Llandeerdog. So, yeah. Open the dampers and let's go. We pretty much get under this bridge and the gradient comes on. If you look, it's already a 1 in 101. And the 42 is taking off as though it's just nothing. Call this an hill. I think it's time for a Diet Coke break. Oh yes. That is the sound of Diet Coca-Cola, which you can buy from all good retailers. No, don't do that, Reese. That's commercializing. I would never do such a thing. Hashtag sellout. Incidentally, if you've never visited the Angry Welshman Productions official store, the link is in the description below. Alright, 25 miles an hour. Line speed on the steep incline out of Llandeerdog. And I'm showing the incorrect station thing. There we go. The incorrect headlamp, rather. Alright, so we're on our way back to Blaenberris. And yes, we'll be stopping at all the stations along the way. Oh, we're blowing off? Wow. It's a good thing we took on some water early, because we're already need to put some water in the boiler. I suppose that's a good thing about these locos working in the South Wales valleys, because there was never really a shortage of water there. I think there's a shortage of everything else, but there's no shortage of water. That's something we do have a lot. So we've been playing now for an hour and a half, and the frame rates are still sky high. Yeah, I don't see any problems. Still haven't had a dump file. I've probably jinxed it now. Hopefully not. Shut that reg. Because we are now rolling. And blowing off. What a surprise. I've said that how many times now? Probably about 200. I think this sort of bit of the video is what everyone has seen numerous times before. Reese driving along the Pennine Valley Railway from Llandeerdog to Pantygassog with a 4200. Change the tune. Well, I was going to drive with an S160 as well, but kind of just didn't happen. I was given a choice of S160 or 4200, and as much as I love the S160, I'm sorry, but 4200 all the way. Ooh, careful, girl. Brakes on, if you please, and stop. Oh, right. The engine is actually quiet for a moment. No, she's not. She's loud. This is a view everybody knows. A 42 sitting in Pantygassog station. Although I think it's time to add a second platform at this station. What do you think, Mr. 42? Fill us up, Mr. Water Tank. Hey up. No, that's Barry. You can't take Barry. So. Alright then, so. We're about to suck off those brakes. And we're going to head out. What on earth is that noise? I'd never heard such a noise. She seems a little bit sluggish. What's wrong? Maybe it was the handbrake. She definitely seemed sluggish while she was, oh yeah, horrible station master. Hiya! It's time to wake up! It's time to wake up! Yeah, I don't like him much. We are a few minutes behind time, so let's, it's hammer time. Let's get some coal in that fire. Okay, so next 40 miles an hour section between here and the bridge, where we cross over the Avon Lwyd and head into the tunnel and pass over the Avon Lwyd cliff top. Okay, what was I saying? I was going to say something to you guys. Okay, yeah. Something I've been sort of thinking about for a while is making new types of videos. Things, you know, like Panniers of Dicks and Grand Theft Auto videos and stuff. I like doing every now and then because it sort of mixes up the barrel. Gives me some fresh inspiration. I have been coming up with some new ideas. I'm going to continue a few more Panniers of Dicks just for the shits and giggles. Might even bring Abdul the Indian train back, but to be honest, I'm not 100% about that because it's a little bit racist. Something I have been toying with is that we did a live stream a while ago. Jeff the Not Thomas engine was the character that kind of got created because I used the Northwestern Railway Thomas model which James Horrocks made. It is a stunning model, the London, Brighton and South Coast E2. And by the way, check out JH55000's channel because he uploaded a video, Thomas in the Great Storm, I believe it's called. It's a special video that he's made using pretty much all custom made assets, which is impressive for someone that makes, makes his own stuff for Train Sim, to make his own series and a route as well. Hats off to James Horrocks. You've sort of outdone me in every possible way there, because not only have you created a story, you've created one where you've made all of the assets yourself. That is really impressive work, guys. And James is a very kind individual himself. He kindly worked on the Faces project for me, which the results have you seen from episode 1 and episode 2 of Over the Hills. They're just unbelievable. The difference that it's made to Over the Hills is unbelievable, and I really hope that I can do it justice in the coming weeks and months. Better put the brakes on now because we're entering the tunnel. The Avon Lwyd cliff top. I was wrong earlier, the speed limit here is actually 20 miles an hour. Yeah, so head over to his channel. I'll see if I remember, because it's going to be about 4 months from now when I upload this video to YouTube. I'll try and put a video link in the description below, so head over to his channel if you haven't already and subscribe, because Not only because it's a great video, but it's because I'm in it as well. In part 2 anyway, I star. I have a couple of roles. I recorded them very hastily before I left for sea. James was like, I need some lines, so I was like, okay. And yeah, that's how it happened. Exactly like that. Welcome to the Avon Lwyd Clifftop for the second time tonight. Here we go. Kind of feels a bit like Ivor the Engine, because I'm pretty sure there was a scene in Ivor the Engine where, was it the episode was called the Juggernaut, where there was like a truck thing that was like converted into a train and it just didn't work. Kind of feels like that episode of Ivor the Engine. Okay, so we're pretty much at the next 40 miles an hour section. So we're going to start speeding up. We've got plenty of water in the boiler, just shoveling some coal. Power! Yeah, so going back to the idea, it was Jeff the Not Thomas engine was the character that sprang out of that live stream. Because I was going to use the NWR Thomas. Anyway, I was telling you about that. I keep forgetting what I'm talking about when I do these videos. So, James made the E2, London Brighton and South Coast E2 model. I then used said model. Let's try that again. I used said model in live stream. And I can remember on the evening I had not very much time to set up the scenario, and I was going to use the NWR Thomas, but then I had a change of heart at the last moment for a couple of reasons. One, there wasn't much time to get it set up, because unfortunately at the time the model wasn't working properly. There was a couple of glitches, and of course we only had a few minutes before the live stream started. So the idea which we had was, can we just change the model to be one of the London, Brighton and South Coast livery ones, which is effectively Sammy. Those of you that remember Gary the Steam Edger will remember Sammy, the E2. The little London and Brighton and South Coast E2, which could only say Murph and eats all the Pringles until the movie where he sacrificed himself and killed himself. Yeah. So if you didn't watch the Gary the Steam Engine movie, yeah, it's just weird, it's trippy as hell. I watched it not long ago, just for the old time's sake, and I just think, what drugs was I on when I made this? So yeah, Jeff the Not Thomas engine was an idea which came from that live stream, and then I looked at it again. I thought, well, Jeff was incredibly popular as a character. Everyone sort of still talks about Jeff the Not Thomas engine, because it's totally not copying any sort of well-known character that we know and love, even if he is really useful. So I was thinking of making Jeff the E2, or Jeff the Not Thomas engine, as a bit of a tribute to the original Thomas stories, the 3 engines. It could be my own sort of thing. I could do my own version of it, like the 3 engine, or basically like it could start off, he has a short stumpy firebox, or short stumpy wheels. I'll have to watch the video to get some ideas, because I don't remember everything they said. Okay, blower on because we're going into a tunnel, and brakes on because we are approaching Pontymoyle. You guys, I'll have to take a photograph of this setup soon. In fact, I'll do it now and then, once I've stopped at Pontymoyle. because on my left I've got the microphone and hard drives, then on my right I've got my Xbox controller, and it's weird having it all here. The Samsung Meteor microphone, which is the microphone that I mainly use for voice acting. I've brought pretty much everything with me. And I'm so happy that for the first time since I filmed Over the Hills all those years ago, I've been able to film at sea. Not only film, but play games at sea. Because that's something I really missed. When I was at sea on cargo ships, on my old laptop, I was able to play Railworks, which was actually Rail Simulator at that time. And then I filmed Over the Hills, uploaded that, and then it was the Flight of the Phoenix movie, which was uploaded in several parts, also over the course of about 2 years. It's all the directors, Mr. Bruce, Mr. Dibden, Mr. Anthony and Mr. Davies, come to inspect the 42. Although, to be perfectly fair, it is entirely possible that this particular 42 may very well have an alternate life where it's working on the Pennoy Valley Railway, which it will be used as a freight engine. Okay, tip from the guard almost. Stick the old handbrake on. Let's have a quick look at the doobie. There we go. We need to be a bit closer for any sort of thing at the next station. Right. Okay. I love that whistle sound. I also love the cab views, that you could stay in the cab view but you could still look outside the cab window. That is beautiful. Slippage. Slippage. Come on. It's just such a pleasure to drive this engine. I know I've driven it a few times. You're all fed up with me driving it. Drive something else other than a Great Western tank engine, Reese. That's what you're all saying in your heads, I know. In fact, I think there's a few people who are saying drive something northeastern. Well, maybe the next video I do, I'll drive something northeastern. I'll drive Tornado, which is totally northeastern. It's about as northeastern as Barbra Streisand. Well, Barbra Streisand is actually quite hot. Even though she is made of plastic. And Botox and glue. Alright. I totally forgot about the 25 miles an hour section, so for the purposes of this video I'm going to pretend this section is a 30 zone. It's actually 25, so I'm committing a crime. Sorry guys. We're on the beautiful cliff top section again. Oh, it's a beautiful bit of road. As we're climbing up from the valley floor, well, from the coast up to the summit of Nanty Glen, and then it'll be downhill pretty much all the way, apart from one little section. So yeah, Jeff the Not Thomas engine is going to have to be made in some sneaky way so as not to arouse the suspicion of hit entertainment, which it probably will, but oh well. It will totally not be any sort of rip-off. Completely original work. Who's a good Jeff? This engine isn't, Jeff. This engine, being a Welsh engine, needs a Welsh name. Billy Bob Thornton. That's it. Perfect name. Alright, we're thundering now. Knock her right back, because this is a long 40 miles an hour section, I believe. All the way to Aberystwyth. Let's see if we can zoom in on our platform yet. No, we can't. We're in for the long haul now. Yeah, so I think I was saying earlier, I want ideas from you guys. So if you want to put them in the comments below, or on Facebook maybe, on the Angry Welshman Productions Facebook group, ideas regarding things such as live streams or challenges or events. So what I thought of, like, the standard live stream seems to be, it's getting a bit repetitive now. We've done quite a lot of them. It seems to be a race of some form, but I think it should be more challenge based. In fact, I think we did one not long ago with the 42 or 5200. Oh no, it's a 7200 on the Woodhead line, where you had to get so many wagons from A to B, you know, and you got points for how many wagons you arrived with. It was a nice challenge, but it was a bit too easy maybe. So we need something that's challenging yet fun, but not too risky. Because as you know, the thing is, it's gonna sound really big-headed, but if if I fail the live stream, or if I fail the challenge, then the live stream is over, because everybody else can still participate, but because everybody's watching my screen, the live stream is finished, which kind of sucks, because usually it's about 160 people or so watch the live stream when we do it. So 8 people who are still racing in the live stream are still playing, and it's fantastic for them. But then for the 152 of us are sat there going, oh, well, that's it then. If you get what I'm saying. Alright, so I think we need a bit of coal. Not too much though, because once we're out the tunnel we'll shortly be... Oh, we're out the tunnel. It won't be long until we'll be out in Aberystwyth, so shut that blower off. I might have overcooked this with the coal. I think the steam pressure is starting to drop. Although we're running nicely now. For those of you who've watched Matt Pedalston's live streams, you can see from his live streams that the camera sort of shakes a lot more. I think he's modified his version of Train Sim, which I would love to see incorporated into the real Train Sim, but of course I'm not any form of software developer, I'm afraid. Those of you who are watching who know software developers, or maybe are software developers, you know, there you go, there's an idea for you. You could make some money. Oh, I just threw a can of Coca-Cola in the bin. Wow, I'm pouring water in the boiler, but nothing seems to be happening. Let's see, have I actually done it right? Yes, I have. Water and steam valve is open. We should be able to select our route, which is correct. We're actually, apart from that there. In a big flurry of deja vu. Wow, we've been going for almost 2 hours. This is going to be a very long video. I imagine it'll be about 2.5 hours by the time we're finished. Not that that's a problem, you guys love watching me You guys love me. It's as though it's like I'm famous or something. Nah, not really. I'm not that famous. Right. We're not far from Abersaif. It is cold in here. I've switched up the AC a little bit more because it was getting a bit warm. But I think that's probably because of the laptop. Oh, excuse me. Well, I sneezed and farted at the same time and it hurt. This is going to be the ultimate test of if anyone is still watching this video. If anyone is still watching, what did I just say about me sneezing and farting at the same time? It'd be interesting to see if anyone is actually listening or watching. Because I imagine there's not many people that watch these videos all the way to the end. Only the very committed fellows. And if you are still watching, I salute you. I really do. I'm going to have to start thinking of some topics to talk about while I'm doing these videos, though, because it's, I think I've just done non-stop talking tonight, which isn't normal. I normally ramble on for a few minutes and then get bored or run out of things to say, but tonight I've just kept talking for the entire video. I've tried to give you a bit of route knowledge as well. To make it a little bit more entertaining. Wow, we've almost used like 400 gallons of water. Can you believe that? Hello, people. Brakes on. Full crap. Stop. If we happen to stop near this water crane, which we're not, I was going to say I'll put some water in, but we're a bit too far away from it. Although this crane does have a really weird arm. Oh, this is another one of the funny stations that doesn't work. Oh no, it does work. That one coach, or two coaches, so there's something up with the platform. Alright, so let's prepare for departure. What an absolute pleasure it is to drive this engine. What I'm going to have to do, if any of you are scenario writers, because I'm not very good at making scenarios, I would love to, you know, we'd have to work something out. If you could teach me how to make a proper scenario for this route, where I could have other trains running, but I could sort of mess around, you know, even though it's a single line, I could still run myself like I'm doing now. I imagine it's possible. But have, you know, on other trains running as well in a timetable. I think that is the tip from the guard any moment. Alright. Handbrake off, Mr. Fireman. I think I'm actually remembering to take the handbrake off now. Is the road set? Oh, the signalman actually seems to be getting a bit better in this game, because I remember a few versions of Train Sim ago that would never have happened. It's actually done stuff automatically. Big letter 25 or number 25 there. now. Abersaif to Llandeerdog to get some coal in and some power. All right. So a few days before I flew out to Japan, I was in London because my fiance did a training course in London, so we had a hotel in Paddington. Stayed in a lovely hotel, but it was so hot. I had the window open all night, and it turned out that the hotel we were staying in was sat directly above the Circle Line on the London Underground, where it emerges from underground. It was, I believe, it was one of the lines where they built these buildings with big vents in them to let steam and smoke pass out, because of the old steam locomotives running on the underground. Well, it does strike me as strange that they would ever consider, even in Victorian times, to run, you know, steam locomotives on an underground network. Just doesn't seem very wise, even in Victorian times. Once again, heading over the Avon Lwyd for the last time. No, it's not. It's not the last time. Beautiful 40 miles an hour section to Llandeerdog. Although we will have to slam the brakes on in a bit. On gala days, they are on the preserved railway. There are a mixture of services. The express services will only call, they call it, was it Blaenberris, Pennyog Colliery, Abersaif, and Pantygasog, and then Llandeerdog. So 5 stations along the line. Those are the only stations that the expresses call at. Whereas on a normal running day, indeed on gala days on the local services, trains will stop in all of the other stations as well. So Blaencoed, Llandeerdog, and that's it. I completely forgot Pennoeth Junction as well. Trains have to pass there. Completely slipped my mind, that one. Okay, so I'm going to lay off the accelerator, which is not an accelerator but in fact a regulator. My god, we're not blowing off for a change. Although the boiler pressure seems a bit low. Let's get some fire in there. So as you see, we're making our return journey. I'm getting a lot better at judging how to stop at these stations. As you see, I'm getting more confident as I've come into this station now. I've powered in much faster, and as I say this, I'm probably going to overshoot, and I've overshot. But it's okay, because it's a branch line. These things happen. That's how I'm justifying it in my little world. See? Last carriage, still in, it's fine. Nobody will ever know. Except the guard, which in this case is Mr. Seward. He'll know. He always calls me up on overshooting. Right. yada. Yada yada. Don't apply the brakes, you idiot. Running position. There, that's what we wanted. Full forward gear. With the regulator wide. That's how we do things on the Pennine Valley Railway. Looks like we're ready. So it's time to go. I think that's enough coal. So this tunnel that we're approaching, Llandeerdog Tunnel, which connects the it connects the railway line from Llandeerdog itself into the next valley where the reservoir was built. This tunnel actually collapsed during the construction of the reservoir. There was during the digging and the building of the dam in Llandeerdog in 1947. They were digging and making it deeper because it was empty at the time, and then they built the dam to create the reservoir itself to provide electricity for the people of the Pennine Valley. But also, it was built originally to provide electricity. However, due to funding cuts at the time and the abundance of coal in the area, the local coal power station at Uskmouth was considered the most economic route to go, and so the reservoir was instead used for fresh water. And it's been more successful in this valley as a fresh water reservoir for the drinking water supply. However, sadly, during the construction of said reservoir, there was a gigantic flood, and part of the water actually flooded past Mr. Davies' house and down through the tunnel, and it caused some of the tunnel to actually collapse. So the tunnel had to be rebuilt. It was this section here which has been rebuilt on Mr. Davies' property, which was flooded just at the back of his house. Luckily his house survived because it's up slightly on an embankment, but yeah, a lot of damage was done. Mr. Davies was not happy, but the insurance covered it, so it's cool. I wonder if anyone's even going to listen or pay attention to these little local riffs of the Pennine Valley Railway. So we just passed over the summit. Heading down the other side of the Pennine Valley line. There's the reservoir itself. Let's go take a quick look. There's the major dam and the reservoir. That's the dam that was dug originally as a power station, but it turned into a freshwater supply. This train just looks so natural in this environment. Meow. Bing. Passing over this viaduct. Llandeerdog. God, we've used a lot more water this time. We've almost used 800 gallons. Well, 700 anyway. Alright, maybe 600. Okay, my maths is not very good today. I've got a bit of a headache. The video has already been 2 hours 15 minutes. A lot longer than I was expecting. But you know, it's a first. I don't think I've ever successfully achieved a full round trip. Although I did on, was it Learner Drivers? No, it wasn't Learner Drivers. We made it from Blaenberris to Llandeerdog, and then Leslie randomly appeared. I haven't seen a wild Leslie yet. Any moment now, I'm sure he'll appear. Spoil. As soon as I'm arriving at Blaenberris, Leslie's just gonna jump out of nowhere and go, "No! You shall not finish the video!" Nancy Glynn Manor, which looks a bit more like Hogwarts rather than a manor house. So you see, in terms of heritage railways, this little engine, it's not really little, it's more of a mainline beast. It's the perfect machine. It's got more than ample supply of water. It's got more than ample supply of coal. I think we've used about 2 tons. It's got a 7.5 ton bunker. We've used 2 tons almost. So, you know, for running an everyday service, well, that's 1 round trip. These engines would probably do 3 round trips a day in preserved railway movements. Although I suppose, well, first train will be 10 o'clock, so it's an hour and a half. So 10 o'clock, 11:30, 1300 back in Blaenberris, and then 14:30, and then 16. 2 round trips. 2 round trips a day. If I've used 2 tons of coal, probably 2.5 by the time we get to the other end. You know. Oh, we're approaching Pennyog. So let's make sure we're on the right road, which we're not. Yep. Yada 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 yada. There we go. We're on the right road now. Yeah, 42 is perfect for the Pennine Valley Railway. I think that's the long-term goal of the line, is to get heavy freight tanks to run their normal everyday service. A bit like what the Paignton and Dartmouth Steam Railway has achieved. Because 42s are just ideal for this sort of work. Couldn't ask for anything better, really. They're better than large prairies, even. Large prairies are great for high-speed passenger workings, like, you know, the I got a great book at home, Great Western Railway in South Wales, and you see regular passenger workings between Cardiff and Pontypool Road using large prairie tank engines, and what a fantastic experience that must have been, running, you know, 80 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour in a large prairie on an express. But of course they wouldn't have had such a huge range because of their limited water capacity. And I've filled the boiler too much again. Drain taps open to compensate. And I think the Great Western loading gauge is presently not available here. Brakes on. And we're stopped. Probably could have gone another coach length ahead because the last coach is in the tunnel. Oh well. Sorry, Dr. Beeching. You'll never take me alive. brakes to running. Those are the station totems that Tom made for me, and they still look good even now. But if any of you are developing things for Train Simulator and you fancy making me something, some Western Region board signs would be very nice indeed. You know, like the big, you know, with two big white posts and a black background with a white frame. Western Region type framed ones would be beautifully accepted here. Tip from the guard, and it's time to go. This is the last passing point on the line, so we'll just make sure that we've got the correct road, which we do. Fantastic. Let's go. Next stop is Blaenberris. I just realised that I did that without the drain taps open. The Victory Works 4200 tends to have a hissy fit at you if you don't use the drain taps. It explodes the cylinders, and it would be a real shame to do that at this stage. After we've done so well running round at the other end, you know, to throw it all down the toilet now would be a bit of a shame. It is a steep climb out of Llandeerdog initially. As you see, we're struggling to make any speed. What's this? Oh, it's a 1 in 70 gradient out of Llandeerdog. It's a 1 in 70, but we're still accelerating. 4253 is proving it does not care for said speed limits. Oh crap. I didn't set the points correctly. At the last possible moment I hit the G key and we rolled over it. In reality, I think those points would automatically snap to the right lock. You know, they would automatically snap to the right position because they'd be automatic ones. But if they have a facing point lock, which I think Bruce told me about, or reminded me a while ago, then they wouldn't do such a thing. No, it was oh, no, it wasn't. I can't remember. So this is the 40 miles an hour section, but it's proving a bit difficult getting to 40 miles an hour here. Whack some coal in. So it's pretty understandable why you have line side fires here, because it's a real steep section and there's a lot of vegetation as well. And now we're speeding up. There we go. We're over it. I don't think we need that much coal on the fire from now on. Just keep it topped up all the way to Blaenberris. Oh, there's another farm. Maybe this is, yeah, this is Mr. Littlewood's farm, maybe. Miss Farmer Littlewood that sounds suspiciously like a certain Mr. Di Woodham from episode 1. The local townspeople here have getting over the fact that we set their embankment on fire. The local village of Pennyog. There's more to the village than that. This is just the outskirts. Alright, full line speed. I hear Americans outside. When people walk past the cabin, it is quite loud. It's much louder when the PA announcement goes off, though. Quite alarming as well, when the alarm goes off. See what I did there? If any of you are still watching, put in the comments that you listened to how alarming the alarm sound is. Just to see who's still watching at this point. Because it's... how many hours? 2 hours 25 minutes into the video. If you're still watching, once again I commend you significantly for being so committed. Oh, it is a special occasion, of course. It's the first video using the Spitfire, so it should be a long one. We can't be far away from there. It is. The next station, Blaenberris. What's it? It's 13:26. I think we'll be in time for the 2 o'clock departure from Blaenberris. See, I would have made the timetable perfectly, actually. Brakes on. Because I started the video with the game time set to just before 11 o'clock, so really I should have had it just before 10 o'clock. Because if it was, it would have lined up correctly for us to make the next 2 o'clock departure from Blaenberris. But, you know, I'm not quite smart enough to achieve that, so, yeah. It is what it is. Full brake dump and stop. Let the punters off. And do the thing. And the handbrake was on the whole way. Again. We'll have some significant wheel flats when we reach Blaenberris with all the handbrake dragging I've been doing. I think the permanent way, or the Loco and Carriage Works are pretty much used to my shenanigans by now. You imagine after all the disasters that I've had over the last few years making videos for you people, how much repairs they've had to do. And we're off. Once again. I'm sorry, but we need more locos like this in Train Sim. Victory Works is probably the leading producer of DLC right now. All of the last few packs have just been through, you know, unbelievable. The S160 was absolutely brilliant. The Saint and Travelling Post Office is brilliant. This pack The 42, 52 and 72, they're absolutely fantastic. Well worth the money. Of course, it's worth mentioning that Victory Works teamed up with Steam Sound Supreme to make it. I believe Steam Sound Supreme did the sounds. I buy a lot from Steam Sound Supreme, so I'm an avid supporter of those guys. Here we go. 40 miles an hour, here we come. It's probably going to be the last bit of shoveling now, because we're not far away from Pennoeth Junction. Yeah, okay. I suppose that's the downside of having that nice whistle, is that every time I press it, you get this signal, was it request to pass signal at danger, where I don't actually want to do that, but because I've pressed the tab key to make the fancy sounding signal, that's what happens. I think this is the last time that we will achieve 40 miles an hour today. We're leaving the Pennoeth Valley for the final time. Heading west into the tunnel, where we'll pass over the Pennoeth Viaduct and into Pennoeth Junction proper. You might notice as well from the limited Over the Hills episodes where we actually see Di running on the line in regular service, he doesn't seem to achieve 40 miles an hour that much. Well, back in those early preservation days, the full line speed was 25 miles an hour. So it's after the Transport and Works Order Act is given, it's the whole line speed changes, so they can run sections up to 40 miles an hour. Alrighty. So this beautiful machine has done us well. Sterling work today, Mr. 4253. There's the Folly Tower. Heading over the Avon Lwyd for the final time. And the home signal is clear, so we're permitted to enter Pennoeth Junction. But we need to slow down pretty rapidly now because we're entering station limits. I'm tangled in wires. Completely tangled in wires. Since being sat here, I've just... all the wires from the microphone and the controller and everything. Oh my god. Blow her off. Ah, there's a little car waiting for us at the crossing. Yep. Brakes on full. Hopefully we've stopped in reasonably the right place. No, we haven't. We've messed it up. Oh well. Oh dear. Oh, we're useless. Handbrake on. Well, you guys should feel pretty proud because you've seen a full return trip of this line. You are now officially members of the Penrith Valley Railway crew. So we'll set the line correctly. Which it is. Not there, I believe. There. And that is set perfectly. So we are now ready for the final run into Blaenberris station. Let's hope I don't mess it up now. We'll see. Oh yeah, of course. I can't believe I've gone through a whole video without mentioning Transport Fever. So, since buying the Spitfire, I've installed Transport Fever on here, and I've been playing a map with about 5 billion mods downloaded from the Steam Workshop. So, for those of you who don't know, Transport Fever is a bit of an industry tycoon type game. It was Train Fever, but it's been heavily modernized to become Transport Fever, where they've included lots of new additions such as aeroplanes and ships, and they've made the gameplay much nicer as well. And all in all, it's a very addictive and very good game, and the mods, the scope for modification is out of this world. So yeah, I've been playing this map, which has just become absolutely ginormous, and hopefully the plan is that I'm going to start a fresh game, a brand new game, and we'll start right in 1850, and we'll have video updates throughout the entire series, you know, every 10 years or so, showing how the railway has developed and, you know, the transport links, and you'll be able to see it grow and progress, because with all these different mods it changes everything to do with the gameplay. So for example, the time passes 4 times slower, so you don't just rush through the steam age, because I always found that the steam age just came and gone before you had a chance to really do anything of it. And the other thing as well is that if, you know, towns develop based on how much goods that they're receiving and how many passengers are moving, and it's not really relevant to the time period, because in Train Fever, between 1850 and the year 2050, I believe it was, the game, the towns and stuff would develop, but after that time, that was it. It just wouldn't change. So no matter what you did, even if you supplied the towns with as much goods as they needed, they wouldn't develop, so there wouldn't be any increase in industry or anything, which was really annoying, because it, you know, once you went past that date, that was it. The map was basically finished. So it's really nice that Transport Fever sort of goes into infinity a little bit, but at the same time, where do you draw the line? Because once you've connected all the towns and all the industries, then that's it. It will keep growing, but, you know, there is a lot more scope to keep going. But, you know, when we do this video, we'll see it working. Because the way I had it running is so intense, you know, I had rail services everywhere, planes flying, and oh, it was fantastic. Now this is where it could all go horribly wrong, people. We're heading once again under the Blaenberris Ale Brewery. So I'm going to slow right down to a crawl. The yellow signal is there, indicating that we are set to go to platform 3. And I'm hoping that is correct. So it's a 15 miles an hour speed limit. So as a preserved railway operation, we are actually out on the main line. So technically we should have mainline registered crews with mainline registered drivers and engines. We don't have none of that, so technically we're breaking the law. But hey, we're the Penrith Valley Railway Company. We don't care. Please go to the right platform. Yes! Okay, is the road set? No. How about now? Yes. It looks after... Oh yeah, when I did a little video here ages ago, there was 42 actually derailed on that point that we just rolled over, so I had to modify this track a little bit so that we could enter the station without fouling the points and derailing and everything. So here we go, peeps. Blower off, dampers off. We have made it. All I got to do is stop without crashing. But I don't think it would be an Angry Welshman Productions video if I did that, would it? But I'm going to, I'm afraid. I'm sorry to disappoint you people who've been watching for, you know, 2 hours and 40 minutes. I'm going to stop, having completed a full round trip of the Penrith Valley Railway. And there we have it, people. We've made it. Blaenberris to Llandeerdog and back. Sadly, I can't open the doors to let the people out, so they're stranded. But that, as they say, is that. 4253, you've done me proud today. What a beautiful machine. Out of all the Railworks DLC, I have to say this is the best, easily. Any piece of DLC that's available, this beats it. I'm sorry. I've had a really good chance to drive it today. I've driven it on and off, you know, for like live streams and stuff, but today I've really had a chance to get a feel for the engine. And this, it's just the best. It reacts so well. And it performs brilliantly. So 4200, I am slightly biased because I'm Welsh and I love the Great Western, but yeah, what a machine. Well, people, it's time to end, so let's have a parting shot with the engine and we'll run some credits. Goodbye, everyone. Oh, who am I kidding? You all want me to see me crash into the buffers ahead, don't you? It wouldn't be an Angry Welshman Productions video unless I did such a thing. So, let's see. Power. Da 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 da, bang, da 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 da. And of course, it ends with a slightly tilted tank engine. Goodbye, everyone.